What's going on, guys? This is Daniel with Family Bible Temple, back with another video here. And I was sitting here thinking, I'm going to do a video on this old shotgun I picked up here. And I started thinking about how back in the day everything was so simple, you know, but it worked, and how much family values and stuff have changed, stuff like that. What I wanted to get into was one of the main things that I think is forgotten in the survival world and prepping and shit it's a fan scenario, you know, bug out, stuff like that, is literature, books, good, you know, actual paper books. I think more and more people rely on technology these days to, you know, even myself, you know, if I need a questions, you know, if I got a question about something, I go on Google and it's there, you know. And I think technology is awesome, but I think that the control of it's in the wrong hands. I think it's used for purposes it shouldn't be used for, and I think we've become so reliant on it that when it does come to the point that it's not there, I think it's really going to throw a lot of people for a loop. And I don't think enough people think about that. Is about, you know, we plan for these get home bags and 72-hour bags, and you know, we prepare for all these different things, but the one thing that I don't think people are thinking about when they're preparing is, what if you're preparing for something that's permanent? You know, what if this bug out scenario, or this shit hits the fan scenario is, you know, the new reality? How, you know, are people ready for that? I don't think anybody is ready for it, but I don't think people are preparing for it enough either. You know, we've still got to be able to educate our children, you know, teach them history of our country and of our religion and faith, and, you know, maps, you know, showing them the world, showing them different animals in books, not to mention for us to have maps for traveling, specialized books for different skills and trades. I just think we've become so used to having everything at our fingertips, including our history and past and heritage and genealogy, and, you know, people don't realize it's kind of like the book burning back in the day. You know, it's everything's gonna be gone. I don't know if anybody's ever read 1984. Well, I'm sure a lot of people have, but if you haven't read 1984, I think that's a good book for people to read. It'll kind of give you an idea of how history and stuff is already dictated, and they make us have a certain perception of some things that isn't necessarily that, but that's for another day. What I want to get into is a couple examples of books that I picked out of all my different books that I have, and I picked these all for certain reasons. Not just, I didn't get these books because I want to do reviews on these and show you guys these books to buy them or anything like that. This is more or less just showing you what's important to me and what's my thought process. And the first one's not even really a book, but it's, and I picked this because it was the idea of this, not so much this actual pamphlet I have here, but this is the Citizens Rulebook is what it's called, and it's got the Bill of Rights, it's got the Constitution, it's got your inalienable rights, you know, given to you by God. It's got different quotes and sayings from our founding fathers. I think it's got a list of all the founding fathers. Information that could be lost, and I think there's certain areas in our leadership, or whatever you want to call it, that would like for this to be lost, and that's why I decided to pick that up and make that the first one that I wanted to show, even though it's not necessarily a book. The next one here, and I'm not going to get into it too much, I try to keep it simple with, you know, things like this, but this is the Bible. This is a King James version, I believe. Let's see. And I have a different, this is an international version here. I have my own feelings about certain things. I am a firm believer that you know, I believe in God 100%. I've read the Bible all the way through. I'm familiar with it. I feel like I have a close relationship with God, and I feel I have absolutely no business going to church. I don't necessarily agree with organized religion and what it's used for. Getting together and fellowshipping with friends and family of a like-minded faith is different. But when you're going to an establishment like a church, political gain, financial gain, whatever it is their agenda is, there's a reason why they're there. You know, and I just don't agree with it. I don't believe in it. That's just my opinion. Anyways, enough of that. Next thing we have here is Hugh McManus, The Complete Wilderness Training Manual. And this is a good book. If you guys see that on Amazon or something, pick that up. This is actually well worth the money. I didn't want to get into a jag on books here, but this has everything you could possibly think of. Different edible plants, poisonous plants, how to make traps, how to make shelter, how to make fire, how to make self-defense weapons. It's got absolutely everything you could think of in here. And I guess it was made by Boy Scouts of America. I didn't even know that. But this is a really good book. Something I think people should definitely invest in. Next thing I have here is a basic butchering of livestock and game. And I don't know who wrote this. John J. Metler Jr. And it's got beef, veal, pork, lamb, poultry, rabbit, and venison. And it is from the time that you harvest the animal until you're putting it in your mouth at the dinner table. It's got everything from how to clean all these different types of animals to different cuts of meat, how to remove those cuts of meat, also how to prepare the meat for storage. It then goes into different recipes and stuff for each type of meat that they have in here, just because I do plan on procuring quite a bit of meat. You're not going to live on canned food and MREs forever. And I think that's another thing people don't think of is, you know, you can stock up on MREs and storable food, and I do. I have quite a bit. But I'm not going to rely on that until things get better. You know, I have certain skills that I don't want to say mastered, but I feel very comfortable in for procuring meat, different farming techniques, storable seeds. If people don't have storable seeds, you should probably get you some. And the last one I have here, and people might think this is weird, I don't know. This is Edgar Allan Poe. I don't think people think about trying to enjoy themselves in that type of situation. They're always thinking about being a super soldier and you know, where they're going to bug out to and how many bags they're going to carry and, you know, all this crazy shit. And that's all well and good, but there's got to be a time where you relieve yourself of that and enjoy yourself and relax. Alright guys, so that's it for our brief little discussion there on books and some of the books that I think would be important. And there's many more medical books, tons of stuff, tons of entertainment and enjoyment type things, mechanical books for different types of equipment and stuff like that. I think it's a lot more important than people think. So hope I didn't bore anybody too much with going into that and kind of going into my opinion of a couple things, but you know, luckily I'm able to do that in this country of ours here. If you enjoyed it, leave a like or a comment. I'd like you to comment on what you think is a good idea to carry, what type of book, what kind of books you do carry. You know, I'd like to hear from anybody who's watching, and I appreciate it. Thank you.